It's such a pleasure. It's so nice to see you, Paul and Sheila, and thanks to everybody who's on the call. As I mentioned, I decided to do this with my kid, which means, you know, anything could happen, but I feel like that makes it a little more authentic. So for all of the parents out there juggling all of what's been going on and kids, you know, I feel you, and I think this should hopefully be fun. And hi, Sheila, it's nice to see you.
Hi, Denise. Great to see you and family. Hope there are lots of families out there tuning in.
Yes, if you've got young kids, all of this is good for kids. And we've got some props here. So we're going to get started. So Ruby, we need you in your place. All right. The book we're doing together is a folktale called Just Enough and Not Too Much. That's the first picture. And it's about a person named Simon the Fiddler. Simon the Fiddler had a cozy little house and everything he needed. He had a chair to sit on, a bed to sleep in, food to eat, clothes to wear, a soft hat, a toy animal. Wait, can I show you? Of course. Good friends. And a beautiful fiddle with a voice as sweet as honey. For a long time, Simon was perfectly happy. He took care of his house, spent time with his friends, and played the fiddle to his heart's content. But one day, Simon looked around his little house and thought,
I don't have enough. I want more.
I don't have enough. I want more. So Simon got another chair and another and another, and then a few more. And soon, Simon had many chairs. But still, Simon thought,
I don't have enough.
I don't have enough. So he got another hat and another and another, and then a few more. And soon, Simon had many hats. But still, Simon thought,
I don't have enough.
So Simon got another toy animal, and another, and another, and then a few more. And soon, Simon had many toy animals, and for a while, he enjoyed having more, until Simon noticed his house was getting crowded. In fact, it got so crowded, he could hardly move around. Simon missed his simple life. He missed taking care of his house, spending time with his friends, and playing his beautiful fiddle. I have
Too much.
Simon cried. And so Simon set up a long table and put chairs around it. And then he put a hat and toy animal in front of each chair. He decorated his house, baked a cake, and when everything was ready, Simon invited his friends to come to a wonderful
Party.
When Simon's friends arrived, they said, "Hello, it's been so long." And they sat on the chairs, played with the toy animals, put on the hats. It was indeed a wonderful party. Everyone talked and sang, danced, and ate cake until only the crumbs were left. When the party was over, Simon's friends began taking off their party hats, but Simon stopped them. "Please," he said, Keep the hats on your heads. Keep the animals in your arms. Take them home to you and take the chairs too. I don't want to have
More anymore.
Thank you, everyone said. Oh, what a wonderful party. And then Simon the fiddler breathed a sigh of relief. He had
Just enough and not too much, and he was perfectly happy once again.
He had just enough and not too much, and he was perfectly happy once again. The
And
Thank you, Ruby.
So I have two PJ Library books to share that are very similar. And I would love, since I don't have an assistant, I would love all the kids out there who are hopefully listening in to try and figure out how the books are the same and how the books are different. And in between, just for fun, there's a little song.
Oh, hi friends. Happy Shavuot. My name is Sheila. And today, after thinking about all sorts of things to make, I decided to read a wonderful book, one of my favorites. It's called Joseph Had a Little Overcoat by Sims Tabak. I'm happy to share it with you right now. You might see some clues to the story, which is dedicated to Alex Cohn. Joseph had a little overcoat. He wore the coat for a long time, and then something happened to it. And there's a moral, too. A moral is like a lesson at the back of the book. And here's Joseph. He reminds me of my grandfather, who also sewed things and came from a little town like Joseph's, long ago and from far away. Joseph had a little overcoat. It was old and worn, a lot like this one. So he made a jacket out of it and went to the fair. Joseph had a little jacket. It got old and worn. Do you see what's coming? So he made a vest out of it and danced at his nephew's wedding. Joseph had a little vest. It got old and worn. So he made a scarf out of it. And sang in the men's chorus. Joseph had a little scarf. It got old and worn. Can you make a prediction? So he made a necktie out of it. And went to visit his married sister in the city. Joseph had a little necktie. It got old and worn. So he made a handkerchief out of it and drank a glass of hot tea with lemon, just like my grandfather used to do. Joseph had a little handkerchief. It got old and worn. So, he made a button out of it and used it to fasten his suspenders. Joseph had a little button. Uh-oh, one day he lost it. Now, he had nothing. So, Joseph made a book about it, which shows you can always make something out of nothing. And Joseph inspired me to also make something out of almost nothing. And that could be the moral of the story. At the end of the book, dear reader, Sims Tabak writes you a letter about how as a child he learned a song in Yiddish called I Had a Little Overcoat. And I hope you enjoy the song now.
I had a little overcoat, much too old to sew. La 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 la. Whatever could I do with it? I just didn't know. La 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 la. So I thought, what could I do? I made myself a jacket that was almost new. La 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 la. Made myself a jacket that was almost new. I had a little jacket much too old to sew. La 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 la. Whatever could I do with it? I just didn't know. La 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 la. So I thought, what could I do? I made myself a vest that was almost new. La 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 la. Made myself a vest that was almost new.
That was a fun song. Hope you liked it. You know, this idea of making something from nothing is very popular. There's another story about Joseph, written by Phoebe Gilman, called Something from Nothing. In this book, Joseph is a boy, and his grandfather helps him out, and I hope you'll help me out as we read the story together. You can predict what's going to happen next. When Joseph was a baby, his grandfather made him a wonderful blanket to keep him warm and cozy and to chase away bad dreams. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful blanket grew older too. And if you have sharp eyes, you might also see some little creatures at the bottom of every page. One day, his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your blanket. It's frazzled, it's worn, it's unsightly, it's torn. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the blanket and turned it round and round. He said, as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make. Okay, it's your turn. What will he make? Of course, a wonderful jacket. Joseph put on the wonderful jacket and went outside to play. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful jacket grew older too. One day his mother said to him, Joseph, look at your jacket. It's shrunken and small, doesn't fit you at all. It's time to throw it out. Grandpa can fix it, Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the jacket and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went, help me, snip, snip, snip. And his needle flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make, of course, a wonderful vest. Joseph wore the wonderful vest to school the very next day. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful vest grew older too. One day his mother said to him, Joseph, look at your vest. It's spotted with glue and there's paint on it too. It's time to throw it out. Grandpa can fix it, Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the vest and turned it round and round. He said, as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needles flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make... What comes next? A wonderful tie, you guessed it. Joseph wore the wonderful tie to his grandparents' house every Friday for Shabbat. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful tie grew older too. One day his mother said to him, Joseph, look at your tie. This big stain of soup makes the end of it droop. It's time to throw it out. Grandpa can fix it, Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the tie and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needles flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make... What comes next? Of course, a wonderful handkerchief. Joseph used the wonderful handkerchief to keep his pebble collection safe. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful handkerchief grew older too. One day, his mother said to him, Joseph, look at your handkerchief. It's been used till it's tattered, it's splotched, and it's splattered. It's time to throw it out. Grandpa can fix it, Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the handkerchief and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make... What's next? Of course, a wonderful button. Joseph wore the wonderful button on his suspenders to hold his pants up. One day, his mother said to him, Joseph, where's your button? Joseph looked. It was gone. He searched everywhere, but he could not find it. Joseph ran down to his grandfather's house. My button, my wonderful button is lost. His mother ran after him. Joseph, listen to me. The button is gone, finished, kaput. Even your grandfather can't make something from nothing. Joseph's grandfather shook his head sadly. I'm afraid that your mother is right, he said. The next day, Joseph went to school. He said as his pen went scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch over the paper. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful story. And you can do that too. Hope you enjoyed this second story of Joseph, and thank you, PJ Library.
I love the stories that repeat themselves over and over because it gives children a chance to join in. And right now, after teaching for many years and raising my children, I have a granddaughter, and I just can't wait to read her books. Unfortunately, it's going to be over FaceTime for a while, but I've started collecting books that I'm hoping to share as she gets older. And definitely I'm jumping into the PJ Library books because they have legacy and heritage, and they exude Jewishness in many ways, and they're also sweet and dear and kind and show empathy and good values. So those are the kinds of books I'm looking forward to sharing with others again.
Great. And do you want to let people know what PJ Library is if they've never heard of it before?
I'd love to plug PJ Library, which I'll just hold up to the camera here again. You can sign up at PJ Library. There we go. I believe it's pjlibrary.org, and put in an order for free monthly books that begin at the developmental age of the child you're registering for. And Denise, you might be a recipient of those for many years, so maybe you can attest to the quality.
Yeah, we love the PJ Library books. Not all of them are secular, but most of them actually are. And I have another one, and it's short enough so we can end on time, but I think it'll kind of close out the theme here. And I think, you know, Sheila and I chose stories that talk about being happy with what you have and being grateful for what you have. And especially when things aren't perfect, or when things can be a little bit hard, I think it's most important to think about that. So this is a book for some of our youngest participants today. It's called Toda, which in Hebrew means thank you. And it's a reminder to say thank you to the people we're with, but also just thinking about the things that we're grateful for and that we're thankful for. Thank you for the wonder of a brand new day. Thank you for Bunny, who loves to sing and play. Toda. Ruby wanted me to tell you that she sewed that bunny she had for our play. So that's the tie-in here. Thank you for my mommy, who comes when I call. Ta-da! Thank you for my daddy, who lifts me so tall. Ta-da! Thank you for my clothes, blue, yellow, and green. Ta-da! Thank you for sweet fingers that I lick clean. Ta-da! Thank you for toys that make me kick and wiggle. Thank you for books that make me point and giggle. Ta-da! Thank you for the breeze that tickles my toes. Ta-da! And thank you for good smells that fill my nose. Ta-da! Thank you for the bath where I splash and squirm. Thank you for a towel that wraps me so warm. Thank you for bright stars in the dark night skies. Ta-da! And thank you for sweet dreams when I close my eyes. Ta-da! So I hope wherever you're at right now, you're thinking about the things that make you happy and the things that we can say thank you for.